Okay, so welcome again, good afternoon. Herzlich willkommen to this presentation, which is Your Technical Content is Inbound Marketing Gold. So what is this session all about? Well, first I'll give you a little background on me, the guy in the t-shirt, weighed down by a lot of technology. I've got 2 smartphones, 2 microphones, a clicker. This will factor into the talk actually really soon. But first a little background on me and why you might care what I had to say on this topic. Then we'll talk about what inbound marketing is and how it might relate to technical communication. Then I'll give you some lightweight information on things that you can do to closer align your technical communication and inbound marketing efforts. Then I'll go into things that require bigger changes, going a bit deeper with this idea. And I'll wrap up with a few words on the benefits that we've seen at my company as we've gone down this path. So, who the heck am I? Well, my name is Davin Pukulis. I moved to Germany 2 years ago from San Francisco, California. And I have to say, I am very nervous today. Not because of this talk at all, but drücke die Daumen, hoping my countrymen back home make the right selection today. Yeah, it'll be a late night in front of the computer, I think, tonight. Anyway, it's always good to start a talk with politics, right? Something we can all agree on. So why should you listen to me on this topic? Well, I have 12 years of experience doing marketing actually leading marketing efforts for fast-growing companies. But most of that actually doesn't factor into this talk today. What does is my current role. So I lead the marketing team at K15T Software, and this is going on about 14 months now. And since joining K15T, my eyes have really been opened to the whole world of technical communication. And the reason that is because K15T builds tools that power painless documentation collaboration. So our tools allow teams to doc better together. Some of you may already know K15T because you've perhaps, been to Tekom a lot or use Atlassian Confluence, either in your current role or in previous roles. Our scroll add-ons enable Confluence to be used as a highly collaborative documentation platform. And they're used in over 6,000 installations worldwide. Some of the companies taking this approach include Bosch, Intel, Volkswagen, Red Bull, BMW. The list goes on. Lots of household names, lots of very small organizations. And these ranks are growing quite fast. So we've taken what we've learned from building add-ons for Atlassian Confluence, and we're here at Tekom this year to present a new solution, which is called Enlight. And this is a complete documentation solution, again, focused on the collaborative aspect. And I would be a pretty terrible marketing director if I didn't encourage you to come take a look and see what it's all about at booth 2/E01 in Hall C2. Just rolls off the tongue. Okay, so now you know where I'm coming from. But maybe you don't know so much yet about inbound marketing. What is inbound? Why does it exist? Many of us marketers have actually been inbound practitioners for a really long time. But it hasn't been until fairly recently that inbound was actually a thing. And the reason why it's a thing now is a particularly modern problem we all have. And that's that we are saturated by messaging. And this is both in our online lives and our offline lives. And you definitely don't have to be in the middle of Times Square to know this. Every time we think we couldn't have more messaging in our lives, somehow we do. As an illustration of that, this year, in fact, mobile notifications are up 34% this year. It's crazy. And if there's one thing that marketers know, it's that the more messages a person is presented with, the less they can pay attention to any of them. And of course, in an ever more desperate attempt to get a message through, marketers are continuously interrupting us. Beautiful thing about inbound is that inbound says that the best way to reach people is not to interrupt them, but to inform them. And I'll use, just as a side note, content marketing and inbound marketing kind of interchangeably in this discussion. There is technically some difference between the two, but for the purposes of today's talk, content marketing and inbound marketing are interchangeable. And really, both are all about creating content, which makes them an SEO-driven strategy. And the start of all of this is understanding. So you want to really identify and dive deep into the problems and challenges and drivers of the people that your product offers a solution to. And then you develop content that speaks to those needs and drivers to connect with these people. Really, inbound was summed up best by Rand Fishkin. He's known as the Wizard of Moz. He's the co-founder of Moz, which is kind of like the global thought leader in the SEO space right now. And Rand says that the best way to sell something is not to sell anything. It's to earn the awareness, the respect, and the trust of those who might buy. So if you've done a good job understanding the needs of the people that your product offers value to and creating content to speak to those needs, search engines will bring them to you. And this is where the term inbound comes from. So first, it's about visibility, your visibility to search engines. That's what this content is doing for you. The next step is trust. So if your audience finds a lot of value in the content that you've created, then that trust will hopefully move them towards the confidence to make a purchase. And if you supply content that helps them be successful after the purchase, like great technical documentation, that increases their loyalty, their happiness, their likelihood to recommend your solution to other stakeholders in their organization or to anyone else who has the same needs that they did. But inbound isn't for everyone. There are certainly some companies that still have the philosophical idea that their sales department should be the gatekeepers of great content, and they don't want to just give it away on the internet. Other companies may only wish to use outbound or outward-facing content to have compliance documentation needs met and things like that. Not the best case for inbound marketing. Okay, so inbound is great for marketers. And it's not new, but it is growing rapidly in importance. This year there was a demand gen report done that said that 47% of B2B buyers, so almost half of all B2B buyers, viewed 3 to 5 pieces of content before ever engaging any kind of a sales process. So buyers are engaging content. It's important. And content marketing is about creating high-quality content that helps people. Well, wait. High-quality content that helps people. Tech writers have the same goal too, right? So we should both be on the same page? But we're not. There's definitely a gap. And as I began collaborating on inbound marketing content with some of my colleagues at K15T over on the technical communication side, I started to wonder about the differences and where we were coming from and why they were there and how we could break them down. So articles from people like Scott Abel, the content wrangler, Tom Johnson, I'd rather be writing.com, and others helped kind of clarify things for me. And I think what this gap boils down to is a question of how versus why. So technical content at its core is about how. It's obviously typically made for a post-purchase scenario, and it solves problems for existing users and customers by focusing on how to do something. This is nothing new to any of you, I'm sure. But inbound content is different because it's about why. So like Tekom, it offers solutions, but the solutions are being offered to those that have the potential to have their problem solved by what you're offering. So in order for this content to achieve its goal, it needs to explain why a potential user might take a risk and make a change by buying your product. It needs to communicate the benefit to the user. So there's often a gap between inbound content and Tekom, but the good news is that bridging that gap offers a lot of opportunity. It can dramatically improve both technical and inbound marketing content, from my standpoint. And the good news is that the content that you're creating every day is really the building block that you need to bridge this gap. And you don't have to make big, painful, arduous changes. You can start small. You can start simple, and you can start now. The first step is to give new power to the docs that you already have. So great docs really are a sales asset. That's kind of the point of this entire presentation. And you need to be able to convince the stakeholders in your organization of this fact. And it's really no mystery. Like through SEO, great documentation attracts people hunting for solutions to problems. It helps people who are considering a purchase to have confidence that they'll actually be successful once they make that change. And of course, if you have people who are trialing a product, documentation is hugely, hugely important for the success of that stage of the process. There's lots more to this. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But basically, the problem here is that many companies don't understand this value in technical communication. So there needs to be a concerted effort to get other stakeholders in the company on board and appreciating docs' role in marketing and sales efforts. So something else that you can do immediately is to actually publish your docs directly on your site. A lot of companies still don't do this, but you really want to use either the core domain or a subdomain. And that's so that Google gives full credit to your company for all of this incredible content, problem-solving content that you've written about this product. Why would you hide it on another site? Publish directly on your site or in a subdomain. And you want to make your documentation easy to find. So sometimes maybe there's a debate, maybe with some marketing people, about where documentation should live on a site, how prominent it should be. The thing is, if your docs are good, they're a sales asset, and they should be easy to find even for people who haven't purchased the product yet. You also want to make your documentation a core part of your brand. And so a logo is an obvious one, but really wrapping your whole company's style guide around the documentation experience is really important. So if you have color schemes and if you have typography choices that are part of your brand, they should be applied to the documentation experience. The docs are a key touch point in that whole what people feel about a brand. And I'll show you a couple of examples. First one's from us, of course. So on the left side, we have the homepage of k15t.com. And on the right side, we have our help.k15t.com documentation home. You can see we've applied the same style guide in terms of the color palette and typography choices. But something else you might notice is that we have a prominent help button. It's right on the top right of the homepage and of every page on k15t.com. Just as a side note, we use our own tools to create what you're seeing right here, both on the homepage and in the way that we present the documentation. So we'd love to show those to you if you want to give us a chance. This is Atlassian's homepage. And again, you can see an example of a unified experience from the homepage, the marketing home base, and the documentation home base. It feels like the same brand. And it should for you too. So this is obviously a pretty elaborate kind of best practices example. This is taking it pretty far. Also using our products, by the way. But you can start small. You can align your color palettes. You can align your typography. You can make the docs easy to find on the marketing site. These things will help a lot. Another thing you can do right now is a keyword, tag structure, and link strategy. So these things are really important, again, for that SEO value. The keyword strategy should come from marketing. And again, it can be simple, but it's based on the search terms that your potential customers are using when they're out there hunting for a solution to their problems. They should be applied consistently in the documentation content as well. Use the same language that you know that people are searching for to talk about the solutions on the documentation side. Tag categorization structure should follow the same keyword strategy whenever possible. And then a link strategy should also be implemented. And I know that on the documentation side, link strategies can be a tricky business and complicated, I'm sure. But the point is that Google needs to know what information is relevant to what topic. So build your links sensibly and strategically so that you can demonstrate to Google what the information can be used for. You can also make your docs a social experience. And this one may require a little bit of technical work, but it can be surprisingly easy in a lot of situations, depending on how you're presenting your documentation. The point is that these days, users want a say, and they expect it. So it could be something as simple as a comment section at the bottom of your documentation articles, feedback, share buttons. But you can take it farther and actually host forums or email groups to help foster a loyal community of users who are helping each other achieve success with your products. So marketers definitely need insight and information to develop great inbound content. And the cool thing is that the existing technical content can just be an unbelievably great foundation for this. So if marketing can do regular reviews of documentation, what they find is a wellspring of best practice blog post ideas, tutorial blog posts, videos, webinars, white papers. It can even inspire success story content. So you could take a documentation article and marketing could get in touch with a company they have a good relationship with and ask them to tell the story of how the company executed this particular challenge or problem. When marketing creates content that's based on documentation, though, marketing always needs to remember to add the why language, add the benefit. This is the thing that we need to bring to the table when we're pulling content from documentation and using it for inbound marketing purposes. And of course, inbound content always needs to be informed by insights from users. But again, this is a place where the documentation can help out. So with a comment section or with a, was this page helpful? Those types of ratings, along with usage metrics like traffic, referrals, time on page, bounce rate, these are the things that can allow both technical communicators and marketers to really understand what's most important in terms of the content that's being consumed in the documentation. And it tells a lot about the problems that people are searching for solutions to. And a third point here is that marketing and Tekom really should be getting regular feedback from the other stakeholders in the organization that are particularly relevant. And I'm thinking of sales, customer success, and support. Those other departments can really reveal pain points, user demand, these things that can be addressed by both technical communication and content marketing at the same time. Other teams can also feedback desired improvements or inaccurate content, hopefully not that often. But the point is that different perspectives, even from the other teams in your organization, can be crucial for improving both the quality of documentation and the quality of your content marketing. Okay, so those are a few tactics for kind of the light and fast approach to bridging this gap. At K15T, we're definitely on a journey to go deeper with this idea and align technical communication and marketing closer and closer every chance we get. It makes a ton of sense because we build documentation products, but also we think that it makes both parts of our company a lot stronger and more effective. So I'm a San Franciscan, I can't resist another bridge metaphor, right? The thing is, going bigger, it involves not only changes to processes, but changes to mindsets. I think the goal here is to move to a highly collaborative relationship between Tekom and marketing. And of course, the bigger your company is, the more difficult this can be. Certainly see resistance all over the place. Actually, the talk that was in here just before me, I heard someone who asked a question, and the response from the speaker was, Okay, what does marketing say about that? And I heard nothing but hot air, so that hurts. I'm sure it's true a lot of times, but it totally hurts. Tom Johnson actually wrote an article that is titled Moving Towards the Dark Side, From Technical Writing to Content Marketing. And that's maybe a little bit melodramatic, kind of sounds like a title was written by a marketer maybe. But Tom actually in this article says that if the goal of both sides of the organization is to achieve high quality content that helps people, then it's a good goal and we should work together on it. And Scott Abel goes even a step farther by saying that technical communication is marketing, even if it doesn't know it's marketing. So, it's really important for marketing and TechCom to come to a shared understanding on the big picture strategy. So take it right from the top, which is the business goals, like the overall needs and goals of the business. I think a lot of times TechCom is left in the dark about this stuff because they're not responsible for helping out, the business success in a sales-oriented way. But I think it can really help if actually marketing and TechCom sit in the same room and talk about the business goals and how they can work together to achieve them. And then they can look at things like person, power, resources, and possible reallocation of those. Turns out there could be a lot of overlap if you're doing content marketing between the talents of the people on the docs team and the talents of the marketers. And you can decide together on hiring priorities. So everyone at K15T who's doing any sort of marketing writing is at the very least technically oriented, and I would put myself in that category, the very least. But we actually have an employee who shares his time partly on the documentation side and partly on the marketing communication side. And having a really, really tight collaboration there is just, I can't say enough about how important it is. I collaborate on a daily basis with the head of our customer success, and he's responsible for the documentation decisions, and we are constantly working together on projects. I always need help from him, he always needs help from me. It really can be a productive relationship. And these two parts of the organization can get together for what I call a funnel summit. So analyzing the sales funnel together, looking at the pieces of information that people need as they start to become aware of your solution to their problem and then hopefully become convinced that your solution is the right one, and then trying it, and then after actually making the purchase. These things are all connected together and you want to make it a great experience. So you can decide together, TechCom and marketing, what content is appropriate at what stage, and then look and see where your gaps are and make a plan to fill them. And on that note, I apologize for the fuzziness of this graphic, but it was too important not to use. There's a guy named Ellis Pratt at Cherryleaf, and they're a technical communication and content strategy consultancy in the UK. And he whipped this up on the role of technical communication in the buyer's journey. It's a pretty cool slide. I'll share them all later. This could certainly be a whole talk in and of itself. In fact, it was. So if you want more information, Sarah Richards' presentation from TC UK 2016 is all about this topic. And again, I'll share these later on. So by collaborating closely, tech writers have a lot to offer marketing. And us marketers are really thankful for that when we're working together. Chief among them is expertise about features, benefits, and use cases. The thing is that tech writers have really put themselves in the shoes of the user, and they're intimately familiar with the functionality of products. And what's really cool from a marketing standpoint is when you work with tech writers about this, they're professional communicators. They can verbalize these things in ways that, some of the engineering folks might struggle to. And because they've taken it from a user standpoint, they're really approaching it in the right way from a marketing standpoint. This kind of familiarity with the product gives tech writers a really great insight into actually the benefits that the product provides, which is that why part of the marketing. And it gives a really, really clear insight into the use cases themselves. So tech writers have so much to offer marketers when we start working together. Tech writers also create high quality, expert content, every single day. As a content marketer, this is incredible. Like, we think this is the coolest thing ever. So first, we need to get aligned on strategy, talk together about the overall goals of the business and how both of our roles fit into that. But once that happens, Tekom is just this incredible part of the content engine, and it can be a basis for so many other kinds of efforts that really help content marketers be successful. Okay, so it's a two-way street, of course, right? So marketing definitely needs to help out the folks on the Tekom side. And I think one of the most important ways we can do that as marketers is to give some insight on the why benefit language. Now, when this language is added in a subtle way, where appropriate, it can actually build empathy as users or potential users are going through documentation and trying to solve their problems. It can kind of foster a loyalty in a non-marketing setting. And there are some great examples of this out there. Apple is chief among them, as I was digging around a bit. If you look at Apple's documentation, you'll see a lot of stuff on the top end, like at the topic level, that say, helps you understand, or an easier way, or things where you can tell there are people trying to connect with people trying to solve problems. And a little bit more of this language, when it's done carefully, I think, can help documentation connect a bit better. Marketing can also be an advocate for the value of documentation to the organization. So we can help make the case that documentation is extremely valuable for sales and marketing goals and for the overall business goals of the company. We can shed light on the importance of the doc team to the entire business. Okay, so as I mentioned, K15T software is on a journey. We're definitely working every day to closer align our Tekom efforts with our content marketing efforts. Lots of things are in progress, but we definitely have some early signs of success, so I'll share a few of those with you in the last section here. So before organizations decide to prioritize the collaboration between technical documentation and inbound marketing, they face a heck of a lot more challenges in creating the inbound marketing. So what are some of the benefits of this collaboration? Well, we've definitely seen smarter inbound content. And before it was informed by the tech writers, there were certainly fewer building blocks available for us to create this content. There was less technical accuracy, probably, than we want to admit. There was certainly replication of things, content that has like instructional character to it. But after collaborating, we've seen this load get a lot lighter. So there's a wealth of content from which inbound marketing can not only inform its decisions, but actually have building blocks to build some of our content. There's certainly greater accuracy. And there's a better overall use of company resources because there's less replication of people creating content for the same basic purpose. Feedback creates continuous improvement of content. And again, before we had this relationship, content marketers tend to be more in the dark about the accuracy and the relevance of the work that they're doing. But then, when you're collaborating closely with technical communicators, marketing gets insight into features, benefits, and use cases, as I mentioned before, that are just incredibly valuable for us. And you also get insight into the desires and the behaviors of the people who are searching for solutions. And this is what inbound is all about. Finally, if you're working together on the marketing side and the Tekom side, hopefully you can develop a single source of truth. Before doing this, there may not have been a place where a content marketing team could go for accurate information. But hopefully, with a collaborative relationship with documentation, you can actually use the docs as kind of like this single North Star beacon of truth, right? And you can work together to build a platform that enables the collaboration of both sides. And again, I've got to use one of our examples. So this is literally the collaboration platform Confluence that we use to collaborate on all of our documentation and all of our content marketing tasks. And this was us collaborating on a blog post for this Tekom conference. And if you want that nifty bit of swag, you know where to find us. The idea is that it really doesn't matter what tool you use. We use Confluence, we love it. But it needs to be collaborative, and both sides need to feel comfortable with it. So really the point here is that it's all about quality. Quality is job one. And if you build it and it's good, then they will come. Users will go to where the best content is. It's a fact these days because it's too easy. Search is too good. The thing is that tech writers excel at informing readers. And good content marketing can leverage this talent for pre-purchase efforts by adding information about the benefit, the why. So hopefully, this alliance becomes a force for good, and quality on both sides improves. So you end up with technical communication that connects, and writers that have an elevated role and standing within their organization. And you end up with marketing content that has more depth, more focus, more credibility, and is created more efficiently. So, the not so unexpected results of all of this is that readers have a truly great experience. The company has increased reach through SEO and awareness, increased trust, increased loyalty, and hopefully you and your potential customers will realize the beginning of a beautiful relationship. So thanks again so much for joining this session. Please visit us at booth 2/E01 in Hall C2. And check out Enlight. We're really proud of it. It's a brand new product. Or just come talk to me about the relationship between marketing and Tekom. I would love to chat about this as long as you'd like. And I'm happy to share this slide deck. I'll actually put it up on SlideShare later, so connect with me if you'd like to get a hold of that. And I'm much obliged to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.